They explored the forest together, walking among glowing trees and rivers that shimmered like liquid silver. Lyara showed John plants that reacted to emotions, flowers that bloomed only when touched by hands filled with sincerity. John, in turn, taught her simple human gestures, the comfort of holding hands, the warmth of shared laughter, and the reassurance found in presence alone. Slowly, a rhythm formed between them, one that felt natural and unforced. Yet, beneath their growing closeness, tension lingered. Lyra's grief was never far, and John sensed the moments when memories of her husband shadowed her eyes. He did not push, he only stayed, offering a silent support that seemed to speak louder than words. For Lyra, this was unfamiliar, having someone near who neither judged nor demanded, someone who accepted both her sorrow and her strength. One evening, as the twin moons rose high and the garden glowed with soft blue light, Lyra led John to a quiet bench among the flowers. She sat beside him, her hand brushing his gently. "I never imagined I could feel this again," she said softly. "I thought my heart was closed forever, that I could only exist in memories of the past. But with you, something has changed." John looked at her, his own heart swelling with a mixture of awe and tenderness. "Lyra, it is not about replacing the past. It is about what we can build together now, about trust and connection, about sharing life even when the world feels heavy." She smiled, a small, genuine smile that lit up her face. For the first time in decades, she felt light. The past was still there, always present in the memories she cherished, but it no longer held her captive. John had become a bridge between memory and possibility, between sorrow and hope. In the following days, their bond grew stronger. They trained together in ways both physical and mental, sharing laughter and gentle teasing. John learned to navigate the delicate balance of alien society, and Lyra learned to embrace small joys she had long denied herself. Every shared moment felt like a step toward a life neither had dared to imagine. One night, as they sat beneath the twin moons, Lyra rested her head on John's shoulder. The wind rustled through the glowing trees, carrying the faint hum of distant rivers. "I have kept so much hidden for so long," she whispered. "I never thought I could let anyone in, but now I can feel hope again, and it is because of you." John held her close, feeling the quiet pulse of life, grief, and courage within her. He understood that love was not about grand gestures or instant connections. It was about patience, trust, and the willingness to see another being fully, pain, memories, and all that, and in that moment. Under the glowing skies of Arendar, they both realized that something extraordinary had begun. A bond forged from sorrow and trust, from courage and shared wonder. Something neither human nor alien had expected, but both now cherished deeply. For John, it was not just admiration or fascination. For Lyra, it was not just relief or comfort. It was a connection that transcended memory, grief, and even species. A bond strong enough to challenge fate and change their lives forever. The calm of Arendar did not last. One morning, as the twin moons glimmered faintly above the horizon, news reached Lyra that her city faced a threat. A rival faction, long at odds with her people, had gathered forces at the borders, preparing an attack. Panic spread among the citizens, but Lyra stood tall, her composure unwavering. She was a widow, yes, but she was also a leader, and the responsibility of her people rested heavily on her shoulders. John sensed the tension immediately. He had come to Arendar as an observer, yet now he was part of something far larger than exploration. Lyra moved with quiet determination, planning defenses, speaking to her council, and instructing the city guards. The strength in her voice commanded respect, yet there was a shadow in her eyes, fear. Not for herself, but for those she loved. He followed her through the glowing streets, noticing the way citizens looked to her for guidance. Some were fearful, others curious, and a few were openly skeptical of the human by her side. Yet Lyra ignored the whispers and focused on the task at hand, making decisions that balanced strategy with compassion. John realized then that she was not just strong in spirit. She was brilliant, wise, and capable of inspiring loyalty in ways few could. That night, as the city prepared for the impending attack, Lyra took John to the chamber, the one he had long wondered about. "You have seen my memories," she said softly, "but now you must see my resolve, my people, my city. They are part of me, just as you are becoming. I need you with me." Inside, the holographic images of her husband and past moments glowed faintly. But now they were joined by visions of strategy, maps, and plans to protect the city. John watched, understanding the magnitude of what she carried alone for so long. Her grief had taught her wisdom, her love had taught her patience, and now her courage would guide them both through danger. The attack began at dawn. Shadows moved along the cliffs, and strange weapons glowed in the hands of enemies approaching. Lyra fought with a precision that was almost impossible to follow. John, though human, found himself moving in rhythm with her, defending civilians, aiding the wounded, and covering her when danger approached. Amid the chaos, John saw more than combat skill. He saw her heart beating fiercely for every life she protected. He realized that her secret, the sorrow and love she had carried for years, had shaped her into someone unbreakable. And in that moment, he understood that being with her meant sharing in that strength, facing the danger together, and trusting each other completely. The battle raged, but their connection remained. Lyra glanced at him briefly, and in her eyes, he saw pride, trust, and something deeper, a bond forged not only from shared danger, but from the intimacy of understanding her soul. They moved as one, human and alien, a combination of instinct, courage, and empathy that turned the tide of the conflict. When the enemy finally retreated, the city was battered but alive. Citizens cheered for their protectors, and John realized that Lyra's courage had inspired not only him, but the entire city. Exhausted, he and Lyra returned to the quiet of the crystal tower, their hands brushing, their hearts still racing from the ordeal. That night, as they sat beneath the twin moons, Lyra leaned against him. "You have seen my grief, my memories, my courage, and now my people. I have never trusted anyone with all of it," she whispered. "But with you, I feel whole again." John held her close, feeling the weight of her trust and the intensity of the bond between them. The threat had passed, but its lessons lingered. Strength, courage, love, and trust. These were the ties that bound them, stronger than fear, stronger than sorrow, and strong enough to face whatever the universe could throw at them. In that quiet moment, both knew that the night's danger had done more than test their skill. It had deepened their connection, solidified their bond, and revealed the truth. Together, human and alien, they could face anything. The city had quieted after the attack, but the air still carried tension. Citizens moved carefully through the glowing streets, repairing damage, comforting each other, and whispering stories of courage. For John and Lyra, however, the battle had brought more than physical relief. It had created a new closeness, a bond neither could ignore. That evening, Lyra led John back to her tower's garden. The luminous flowers swayed gently in the wind, reflecting soft blues and purples across her face. She looked at him with a mixture of hope and hesitation, as if she were about to share something she had kept buried for years. "John," she began softly, "you have seen my memories, my grief, my courage, but there is one more thing I have never shared." Her voice trembled, and John reached for her hand, grounding her with the warmth of his touch. Inside the chamber, the holographic images of her past shimmered. But this time there was a new presence. Lyra herself, not just the widow, but the woman who had endured loss, faced fear and carried hope within her. She showed him moments of quiet joy with her husband, moments of learning, laughter, and love that had shaped her soul. Each memory pulsed with emotion, filling the room with a light that seemed almost alive. "This," she whispered, her voice breaking slightly, "is who I truly am. The grief, the sorrow, it was only part of me. The rest I never allowed anyone to see, until you." John felt a lump in his throat. He realized that Lyra's secret was not just her pain, but her courage to keep living, to keep loving, and to keep hope alive. In revealing this, she was offering him the deepest part of herself, trusting him with her heart. I don't know what to say, John said softly. You are incredible, Lyra, not just because of your strength, but because of your heart. I am honored that you trust me with this. I don't want to just see your past. I want to be part of your present and your future, if you let me. Her eyes glistened, reflecting both tears and the faint glow of the chamber. For a long moment, they simply held each other's hands, feeling the quiet pulse of connection, the weight of unspoken words, and the relief of trust finally shared. Lyra leaned closer. For years, I believed that love was only for memories, that joy could never come again. But with you, I feel it, not in the past, not in sorrow, but now, and I want to live it even if only for a moment. John gently brushed a strand of her hair from her face. Then let's live it together, he said. Whatever comes next, we face it side by side. John had never imagined a world like Arendar. Its skies were painted in shades of violet and gold, and the forest glowed faintly, as if every tree and leaf carried a tiny light inside. The air was sweet and strange, filled with scents he could not name. He had come as an explorer, sent to study alien life. But nothing in his training had prepared him for what he was about to encounter. Her name was Lyra, even from a distance. She seemed to shine like the strange moons above. She was known as the beautiful alien widow, a woman whose face could stop anyone in their tracks, whose presence drew attention without a single word. But behind her beauty was a sadness so deep that John felt it like a weight pressing on his chest. Her eyes, a deep violet, held stories of love, loss, and secrets too heavy for most to bear days past. But John could not stop thinking about Lyra. Every moment he spent in her presence seemed to pull him deeper into her world. He watched her move with grace, speak with calm intelligence, and yet, beneath it all, he sensed the quiet pain that she tried to hide from everyone. Her beauty was not just in her face or her form, but in the sorrow and strength that flowed from her like a hidden river. Lyra lived alone in the towering crystal home. Though she was surrounded by memories, John noticed how her fingers lingered on objects that seemed ordinary, as if touching them connected her to someone she had lost. At night, she sometimes stared at the locked chamber at the far end of her garden. The door was solid and smooth, unlike anything in the rest of her home. It had no keyhole, no handle, only a faint glow around its edges, like it was alive. John felt its presence even from a distance, a quiet power that made his heart race. One evening, while they walked through the glowing gardens, he asked softly, Lyra, what is behind that door? Why do you never go inside? Her eyes flickered with something he could not name. Sadness, fear, longing, all mixed together in her gaze. She turned to him slowly and whispered, some things are not for others to see, John. Some memories, some pain, they belong only to me. John understood. He did not push her, but he could not help feeling drawn to the mystery. He wanted to know her fully, not to invade her privacy, but to understand the depth of who she was. Every glance at the locked chamber left a question lingering in his mind. What could be so powerful that even Lyra, strong and beautiful as she was, could not face it openly? During his visits, John learned more about her life. Lyra was respected and feared in her society. Widows in her world were expected to mourn forever, to live apart from joy and companionship. But Lyra had not followed that rule entirely. She allowed herself to connect with him cautiously, and every smile or word seemed to carry unspoken meaning. She shared tales of her husband, a hero of her people who had died in war, and of the pain that followed. Her grief was quiet but intense, like a shadow that never left her. Despite her sorrow, there was strength in Lyra. She carried herself with dignity, never letting anyone see her brokenness. But John saw it. He felt it, and he realized that in her silence, in the way she avoided the locked chamber, she was protecting something precious, a memory, a secret, a piece of herself that had survived loss and time. That night, John lay in his quarters, unable to sleep. The stars above Arender shone like diamonds. But his thoughts were with Lyara. He imagined the locked chamber, the things she kept hidden, and the quiet courage it must take to live with such weight. He wondered if he would ever be allowed to see it, to share in the part of her life that no one else could touch. And then, in a dream, he saw it. A flicker of light behind the door, a shadow of someone he could not recognize fully. There was warmth, sadness, and love all intertwined. John awoke with his heart racing. He knew, somehow, that Lyra's secret was not just about the past. It was about connection, about trust, about the courage to open her heart, something he might one day be a part of. The next morning, he returned to the garden. Lyra greeted him with her calm smile, but he noticed her fingers brushing the door again. This time, he did not speak. He simply stood beside her, sharing the quiet moment. In silence, trust was forming. In silence, a bond was growing. And somewhere deep inside, John felt that the night would come when Lyra would let him see her secret, not just the pain, but the beauty she carried in it. The air shimmered with possibility. And for the first time, John realized that this world, this widow, and this secret were not just part of his mission. They had become part of his heart. The days on Arender passed slowly. Yet each moment with Lyra felt intense, as if time itself slowed when they were together. John had grown used to the glowing gardens, the crystal towers, and the soft whispers of the wind through alien trees. But more than that, he had grown used to her presence, the quiet strength she carried, the depth of her sadness, and the warmth she reserved only for him. One evening, as the twin moons rose high, a sudden commotion broke the calm. From the horizon, John saw lights flashing and heard shouts echoing through the city. Lyra's expression changed instantly. The calm widow vanished, replaced by a fierce resolve he had never seen before. Without a word, she led him toward the disturbance. Her movements swift and precise. Bandits had come to the outskirts of her home, threatening the villagers who lived nearby. They carried strange weapons that shimmered with dangerous energy. John's human instincts kicked in, but he realized quickly that alone he was vulnerable. Lyra moved beside him with elegance and skill, her actions fluid, almost like a dance. He followed her, protecting her from behind, amazed at the precision and strength she displayed. During the fight, John saw more than her combat skill. He saw her courage, her determination to protect life, even when it meant risking her own. Every move she made spoke of love and loyalty, not just to him, but to the people of her world. And in that chaos, John felt something he could not ignore. He was falling deeper. Not just for her beauty, but for the soul behind it. When the battle ended, the bandits driven away, John and Lyra returned to the quiet of her crystal tower. Both were exhausted, covered in dust and sweat, but there was a strange peace in the aftermath. Lyra's hands trembled slightly as she led John to the chamber he had long wondered about. "This is my secret?" she whispered, her voice soft but heavy with emotion. The door glowed faintly, as if sensing their presence. Lyra stepped aside and John followed cautiously. Inside, the room was filled with holographic memories, images suspended in midair like living paintings. Scenes of her husband appeared, moments of laughter, tender gestures, quiet conversations under the stars. John felt tears prick at his eyes. The pain in her memories was palpable, but so was the love. Lyra turned to him, her violet eyes glistening. "I have kept this hidden for years. My grief, my memories, they were mine alone. No one was allowed to see them. I thought sharing them would be too much, would break me." She paused, a shiver passing through her. "But now, I trust you, John. I want you to see this to understand who I am, not just what I show to the world." John reached for her hand, feeling the warmth and fragility she had carried in secret for so long. "Lyra, I don't just see you. I feel you. I want to understand, to be here with you, not to replace anyone, but to share this burden, to share this life." For the first time in decades, Lyra smiled without reservation. There was a softness in her gaze, a quiet relief that her secret was no longer hers alone. The memories floated around them, not as a wall between the past and present, but as a bridge. John realized that he was witnessing more than grief. He was witnessing trust, courage, and love surviving against all odds. That night, under the glow of the twin moons and the shimmer of her memory chamber, John understood something profound. Lyra's secret was not simply sorrow. It was a testament to her strength, to her ability to love even after unimaginable loss. And in sharing it, she had let him into the heart of her world, a world both fragile and extraordinary. As they left the chamber, hand in hand, John felt a quiet promise forming between them. Whatever the future held, whatever dangers awaited, he would stand by her. And Lyra, for the first time in years, felt the weight of her grief lighten, carried not by herself alone, but with someone who truly understood her heart. After that night, John and Lyra's connection deepened. The locked chamber no longer felt like a barrier, but a reminder of the trust she had placed in him. Every morning, the twin moons cast soft light over the crystal towers, and John found himself waking with the hope of seeing her, hearing her voice, feeling the quiet strength she radiated. Lyra, too, changed in subtle ways. She smiled more freely, laughed softly at John's clumsy attempts to mimic Arendorian customs, and shared small details of her life that she had once kept private. She told him about the gardens she had tended with her husband, about the melodies she used to hum to him during long nights, and about the stars they had watched together. Her memories were bittersweet, but they no longer carried the weight of complete solitude. The chamber glowed softly, the memories of her past blending with the promise of the future. John realized that he was witnessing not just the revelation of a secret, but the rebirth of a soul. Lyra had carried her grief for so long, yet now she was opening herself fully, allowing love, trust, and connection to flourish again. Outside, the twin moons shone with a gentle light, reflecting off the crystal towers and the glowing garden. In that moment, John and Lyra understood something profound. Life was fragile, love was rare, and courage was not only found in battle, but in the willingness to reveal one's heart. Lyra's secret had been more than memory or sorrow. It was hope, resilience, and the courage to trust again. And now, sharing it with John, she felt a new kind of freedom. The freedom to be seen fully, to be loved, and to step into a future she had never dared to imagine. As they left the chamber together, hands intertwined, the air between them shimmered with possibility. Their bond, forged in grief and strengthened in courage, had become unbreakable. And in that quiet, luminous night, they both knew the past would always be part of them, but the present and the future belonged to both of them, together. The city of Arendor had begun to heal. The streets still glimmered under the soft light of the twin moons, and the citizens moved quietly, rebuilding homes, sharing stories, and offering each other comfort. Yet, for John and Lyra, the most profound, healing had taken place not in the streets, but within themselves. Months had passed since the attack, and life had slowly returned to a gentle rhythm. Lyra no longer carried the weight of her grief alone. With John by her side, the memories that had once trapped her heart now felt like treasures, precious reminders of love and courage, not chains. She laughed more freely, spoke openly, and allowed herself to dream again. John had become more than a visitor. He was her companion, her confidant, her anchor in a world that was beautiful but often dangerous. Together they explored the glowing forests, walked along rivers that shimmered like silver, and sat beneath the twin moons, sharing quiet moments that needed no words. Each day was an adventure, but it was also a lesson in patience, trust, and connection. One evening, as the moons cast long, gentle shadows over the crystal towers, Lyra led John to the garden. The flowers glowed softly, reflecting colors that seemed almost alive. She stopped near the locked chamber, the door still radiating its faint, magical light. But now it no longer held the same weight of sorrow. It had become a symbol of memory, love, and resilience. I used to think my heart could never open. Again, Lyra said softly, her hand brushing against John's. I thought grief would always be my companion, that my life would be only memories and shadows. But now I see that life can be brighter, even after loss, and it is brighter because of you. John held her hand, feeling the warmth and sincerity that poured from her words. Lyara, you are not defined by the past. You are defined by every moment you choose to live, to love, and to trust. And I want to be part of all those moments, now and always. She smiled, her violet eyes glimmering with tears of joy. Then let us walk this path together, she whispered. No fear, no sorrow, just hope. From that moment, life felt different. Every sunrise brought new colors to the skies, every evening brought the soft glow of the moons, and every moment was filled with possibility. Citizens watched the bond between the human and the alien widow with quiet awe, inspired by the courage it took to embrace trust, to love, and to build something new from the fragments of the past. John and Lyara spent their days side by side, learning from each other, teaching each other, sharing laughter and wonder. They discovered hidden places in the forest, secret glades filled with glowing flowers, and quiet rivers where the stars seemed to touch the water. Lyra's past no longer haunted her. It guided her. And John's human heart found a home in a world that had once seemed impossible to understand. One night, under the twin moons, they sat on a high balcony overlooking the sea of light below. The wind carried the faint hum of distant rivers and the soft rustle of luminous trees. Lyara leaned against John's shoulder, her hand intertwined with his, and whispered, I never imagined this. Happiness, trust, or love could exist again. But with you, it does. John kissed her hand gently. It has always been possible. You just needed someone to walk with you. The locked chamber remained, but now it was not a prison. It was a sanctuary of memory, a testament to the life she had lived, the love she had carried, and the courage that had brought her to this moment. Together, they had turned sorrow into strength, grief into hope, and secrets into connection in the soft glow of the twin moons. With the city quiet and the stars reflected in the rivers below, John and Lyara knew that their journey was only beginning. They had faced fear, grief, and the unknown, and had emerged stronger, bound not only by trust and love, but by the understanding that two hearts, human and alien, could bridge worlds, defy expectations, and create a future filled with hope. The beautiful alien widow's secret had been revealed, and it had changed everything. For her, for John, and for the world around them. And under the light of Erinder's moons, they stepped forward together, into a new beginning, their hearts full, their spirits unbroken, and their bond unshakable. When John first entered her home, he was struck by its unusual beauty. Her tower rose like crystal from the cliff, reflecting the moonlight like it held its own inner fire. The floors glimmered faintly beneath his feet, and soft lights hovered in the air, illuminating the rooms with a gentle, almost magical glow. Lyara welcomed him with a calm smile, but he sensed caution in her movements. As if she had not yet decided whether to trust him, she led him to her garden, a strange and luminous place filled with flowers that glowed like stars. The wind carried the soft fragrance of blossoms, and tiny insects sparkled in the air like floating jewels. Lyara moved among them gracefully, her fingers brushing lightly over petals that shimmered at her touch. She spoke softly, telling him about the history of her world, the wars that had scarred it, and the life she had lost. Every word carried a quiet sorrow, yet there was also strength and pride. John listened, drawn in by both her voice and the emotions behind it, but there was a secret in her eyes. Every so often, her gaze would drift to a tall, locked door at the far end of the garden. She never spoke of it, yet her fingers would linger near its frame, trembling slightly as if touching the memory of someone long gone. John felt a mixture of curiosity and hesitation. He did not want to overstep, yet he wanted to understand her pain, to see the hidden parts of her life that no one else had ever known. That evening, under the twin moons that hung like glowing lanterns in the sky, John felt something he had never felt before. He was not just a visitor here, a human observing an alien world. He felt connected. Lyra's presence stirred something inside him, a desire to protect, to comfort, and perhaps even to belong. He realized that this connection was dangerous, not because of anything physical, but because her world was different, her pain profound, and her heart guarded. They shared tea in the garden. The drink was warm, sweet, and fragrant, made from flowers that only bloomed under the twin moons. Lyra's eyes met his, and for a moment they did not speak. Words were unnecessary. In that silence, he felt the depth of her loneliness, the weight of the years she had carried alone. And yet, in that same moment, he also felt hope that maybe, just maybe, he could be someone she allowed into her life, someone who might see the truth behind her beauty and the sorrow she hid so carefully. As the night deepened, the wind whispered through the glowing trees, and John understood that this meeting was the beginning of something extraordinary. Lyra was more than a widow. She was a guardian of memories, a keeper of secrets, and perhaps a being who could teach him the meaning of courage, love, and connection in ways he had never known. And somewhere behind her violet eyes, a secret waited. A secret that would change everything. For her, for him, and for the world he thought he had come to study.